for a lawyer's perspective on what we saw today. I'm joined now by Mike Papantonio, host of America's Lawyer right here on RT, host of Ring of Fire Radio, and author of the new legal thriller Law and Disorder. Pap, welcome back.
Tom, how are you?
Great. Great to have you with us. First off, what was your takeaway from today's hearing? Where do you think things stand right now?
I don't think there were any bombshells at all. I mean, what it is, it gives each side information or 1 bytes, 10 bytes, whatever they want to call it, that they can babble about. Other than that, they just really didn't move the ball at all today. As a matter of fact, Tom, I mean, I read most of the articles on the Trump-Comey issue, and it's clear why this investigation into obstruction is DOA. If we take the facts we have in an article that appeared in Huffington Post that was, I'm telling you, mostly incomprehensible babble. Here is how they analyzed the Comey testimony. They said, well, point one, Trump had an unusual number of meetings with Comey. Got that. Obstruction of justice, no. Trump asked for Comey's loyalty. Got that. Obstruction of justice, absolutely not. Trump said there was a cloud over the investigation. No, there's no obstruction of justice. Trump fired Comey because of the investigation. No obstruction of justice. The point being, this writer, and it's not just HuffPost, this writer goes through this analysis and then concludes that, gee whiz, there would be obstruction of justice, except for the fact that this is a president, and it's very difficult from a constitutional standpoint to move forward with the conviction of a president on something like obstruction of justice. It was a non-day other than the media. I mean, this is great for CNN, MSNBC. You almost can't turn it on with either one of those channels without listening to more Russia. We got to invade Russia. We have to sanction Russia. Somehow they're tying it back into this. That was an obstruction of justice hearing, is where this thing was supposed to go. It was completely anticlimactic, although Comey did a very good job. Quick answers, yes, no, very precise thinking. I thought he did a wonderful job in his testimony.
Yeah. He didn't end up reading the statement that was leaked to the press yesterday. Why? Was there a legal reason for that?
No, I think it was good advice. I think as a lawyer gave him advice. When you do that, what you do is you create the issues that you're going to be asked questions about. In other words, you make the statement. It's like a cross-examination. On a direct examination, a witness makes particular statements. The lawyer then stands up and cross-examines those statements. It's better to go in and just wait for the questions and answers. I think it was good advice. There was no need to read that statement at all.
Yeah. As you were talking about obstruction of justice, and that was the big question hanging over today's hearing. At one point, Comey was asked point blank whether he thought, whether Trump had obstructed the investigation into Michael Flynn. Here it is.
I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning, but that's a conclusion I'm sure the special counsel will work towards to try and understand what the intention was there and whether that's an offense.
Now, he said the special counsel will work towards that, specific thing, obstruction of justice, with regard to intent. And I read the law on obstruction of justice, and it starts out saying you have to have corrupt intent. So anyhow, as a lawyer, how do you interpret that remark?
Well, first of all, I mean, if there was obstruction of justice while he was Attorney General, he certainly would have taken action. He's a trained attorney. He knows what obstruction sounds like. He didn't do anything about it. There's nothing there. Mueller's is going to conclude there's nothing there. And so I don't think there was. I think it's meaningless. I just, even if it comes down to he said, she said. I mean, you have no indicia of obstruction of justice. And Tom, the frustrating thing is, it's almost as if these do you realize that Jeffrey Toobin actually came out and in his opinion, obstruction of justice exists by what Comey said? Now, I understand he's a paid-for TV lawyer. He's not, this is a guy that doesn't really practice law. He hasn't had to try the type of cases that would have taught him what criminal intent is, and I get that. He's a CNN TV lawyer. CNN wants to push this as far as they can because they're making so much better. He knew better when he came out and said, oh, I believe this is obstruction of justice. There was nothing that was said or suggested today that even comes close to obstruction of justice without some further indicia. Is there more? Maybe. Could be. Is there a recording that we can listen to a recording and we can listen to the way it was said? Trump says he has recordings. If there's recordings that say that, maybe. But right now, for Jeffrey Toobin and these other talking head professors to come out, oh, I believe there's obstruction of justice here, they look like idiots. And for this, for the Democrats to start this, we want to impeach right now, they look absolutely like idiots. There's just not enough here. Maybe there'll be enough to impeach, but it's not there right now. Maybe there'll be enough for obstruction of justice. But these reporters that are covering this are doing such a poor job understanding what really is what's at risk here. You're at risk saying that this is clearly obstruction of justice. The public says, well, it must exist, and the truth is, it's never going to happen. I'll make a prediction right here. Mueller's going to concede. Mueller will come out of this study, I promise you, of this investigation and conclude there's no obstruction of justice. I would be amazed if he finds anything that can be even argued that Trump was trying to obstruct. There has to be something he's obstructing. What did he do? Did he have some deal with the Russians? Well, so far there's nothing to suggest that. So you have to have something to obstruct. And the problem is media has become so dumbed down, Tom. They've become so dumbed down that rather than addressing it intelligently, we see we see Jeffrey Toobin leading his viewers to believe that something's around the corner of obstruction of justice. They're going to be disappointed, and everybody's going to forget Jeffrey Toobin said such a ridiculous thing. We see Huffington Post making these statements. At the end of the day, there's not going to be anything there.